Welcome. It is Uja Wajet here for another live episode. And today I'm going to be talking about how limiting beliefs show up in your life. If you have missed any of the previous episodes, be sure to tune in and you can connect with me on all social media platforms, primarily YouTube and Instagram, as well as Clubhouse if you're on there as well. So you can catch me here every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central, unless otherwise specified. So let's dive into the topic. What is a limiting belief? Let's start there, right? A limiting belief, in my opinion, and if you have a difference of opinion or you view it a different way, definitely let me know in the comments what your thoughts are or what your experience has been with limiting beliefs. But from my experience, a limiting belief is something that a thought, a belief, something that you currently believe to be true, whether you realize it or not. This is something that can be what you're consciously aware of or you're unconsciously aware of. Like you don't really know, but for some reason it shows up in what you say or in your actions, and it slows down or stops you from moving forward in some way. It holds you back, and a lot of times it is um, a mindset thing and or an emotional thing. I have found that there's usually a combination between the the, the mindset and the emotions. So let me give you an example of that. So I mentioned that a limiting belief is something that you currently believe to be true in your conscious state or unconsciously. So it could be something where you are wanting to show up in a different way. A common example that I use is maybe you're wanting to start your own business. Maybe you're wanting to take your life in a different direction. You're starting to learn different things about yourself. You're wanting to express yourself in a new way, and it creates these conflicts within yourself about well I can't do that, or I don't know enough to do that, or um, I don't feel ready. Um, it always can start off with the feeling, which you don't feel ready, you don't feel like it's time, or you use things that are happening. I don't have enough time, or I need I need more of this, or I'm not ready for this yet. I don't have enough qualifications yet, right? And there's all these things that you can justify getting in the way of this thing that you're wanting to do. Um, because it's easy for you to see it that way because you don't believe it's possible. If you don't believe it's possible, or you don't believe that it is possible for you, it could be possible for other people, right? It could be possible for other people to start their business. It could be possible for other people to maybe take their spiritual journey in a different direction, or to really show up as their authentic selves. It could be possible for other people to find love in their life, or to start saying no to people, to stop saying yes all the time, right? It can be possible for other people, right? But it doesn't seem possible for you. And that is often tied to a limiting belief that you may or may not be consciously aware of. Why does that happen? And how often does that happen? How often are you in a situation where you feel this roadblock, or you feel like, oh well, maybe another time, or it's just not my time, or you keep pushing it back to maybe next year, maybe next year? um, how many times have you done that? How many times have you put yourself on the back burner for the things that you want because of all these other things that are going on? And this is not to say that the other things in your life going on are not important, right? But you have to decide, when it comes to your priorities, Where do you fit in? Or are you putting everybody else's needs before your own? Because what that does, it continues to justify that limiting belief. Of course I can't do this because I don't have the time to do this. Oh, of course I can't do this because, I can't, I have to do all these other things. It's easy to justify putting other people first because then it continues to confirm what you already believe to be true, which is you can't. You either believe you can't consciously or you believe you can't unconsciously. You're going to hear me continuing to repeat that because it shows up both ways. You keep putting things off, pushing things back. How long do you want that to continue? And it really goes into your worth. What is it worth to you to want something different? What will it take for you to believe that it's possible for you and not just for other people, or that it's possible for you now? Because that's the other thing. So I talked about you continuing to delay and push back all the things that you want to do for yourself because you're putting other people in front of you. But when is it going to be your time? If you're waiting for other people to succeed, if you're waiting for other people to figure out their own stuff so then you can finally do that thing you're wanting to do, then you're holding yourself back unconsciously because you feel like you're being the good person, you're being there for the other people, but who is there for you? Who is there for you? And here's the thing about limiting beliefs and how they show up. The more you continue to believe it to be true, the more it will continue to be true. The more it's going to continue to show up. The more you're going to create excuses that make sense to repeat the same pattern. And then what tends to happen is you kind of look up 3, 4, 5 years later, 4, 6, 8 months later, and you're in the same place that you were. How does that happen? And then you just wonder, like, where did the time go? And that's when the anxiety might start kicking in. That is when the self-doubt might start kicking in. It kind of goes into this loop. So when it comes to these limiting beliefs, the next question is, what is the process of becoming consciously aware, if you are unconscious, of those limiting beliefs? Well, how it tends to show up is there's a certain trigger or pain point that happens. And it keeps repeating itself over and over again until you can no longer ignore it. Until it gets to the point where you life will shut you down. You literally cannot ignore it anymore, and you're forced to pay attention to it. Now, so that's an example of how it will start to show up if you are unconscious of that limiting belief. But what happens when you are consciously aware? Just like, oh man, I really want to do this, but I can't, or no, I don't have the time, or no, I'm not ready yet, or no, I need another certification, or no, I need to get this course, but I don't have the money, or I need to do this. It's like you keep making the list of all the things you need to do, but you don't actually do them. Raise your hand if you have a list a list of all the things. It's on the vision board, it's in the affirmations, it's in the journal, it's the tarot cards keep telling you the same thing over and over again. You keep hearing the same messages, like you keep getting the same thing. And you see all this stuff, and the list just keeps piling up, piling up, piling up. And then you're just like, oh, then that gets overwhelming. And then you're just like, oh, then you really don't have time for all these things. And sometimes you also get buried into the details of the list. It's just like, oh, but okay, but I need to do this. And you get really fixated on the littlest things that don't actually matter. The littlest things that do not actually matter. It just keeps you busy, but it doesn't keep you moving forward. It keeps you busy, but it also keeps you stuck. Let me say that again. When you are consciously aware of your limiting beliefs, it will show up in your life by you having all these lists of things that you need to do, and it keeps you busy, but it also keeps you stuck. It feels like you're doing something, you feel exhausted. And I mentioned earlier about this connection between the mindset and the emotions when it comes to limiting beliefs, right? So you're in your mind about it all the time. You're overthinking it. You're going over the list. You're fixating on these little things and overcomplicating things versus just taking the path of least resistance, taking like the next step, or just asking somebody that knows what they're talking about, or asking somebody that is where you're wanting to be, asking somebody that actually knows. Maybe that's investing in somebody, a person, a course, but actually, like if you're investing in a course, actually completing the course. Don't just buy it and let it collect dust somewhere in the internet streets. Right? Actually go through the list and check things off, like do things on the list, and don't just like, oh, let me just add more to the list, but don't actually like complete the things. Like, what are you crossing off of your list? Are you doing more crossing off of the list, or are you just adding on to the list so it can continue to seem impossible? So it can continue to feel like you'll never have the time. Because if you never have the time, all that's doing is justifying your limiting belief of why you can't. You can't, or you don't have the time, you don't have the time, you don't have the time. I mean, is it me? So, right? Greetings. Yes. I'm very aware and super done dealing with my excuses. Absolutely. I love that. And that's the thing, excuses, like how many times are we going to continue to make excuses? Oftentimes those excuses are the forefront of a limiting belief. There was one point in my life where I got so tired of myself. It was like I had this out of body experience. So let me know if any of you have had this before, where I was complaining about something, and I was complaining about something and like talking about why I couldn't do it. Oh, I can't do that. Oh man, and this, and then I have to do this, and then all this other stuff is going on in my life. And I was listening to myself, and I was so irritated and disgusted with myself. I was like, I need to shut the hell up. I was like, I am so tired of hearing myself. It was like my spirit was like, will you shut the hell up? Please. Did you hear yourself? I wanted to seriously I was so disgusted. Like, what are you doing? Stop. Like, stop it. Stop it. And that was a wake-up call for me. When my own inner self, when my own spirit is annoyed with my physical self, when I am disgusted with me, when I am like so frustrated with my own self, hearing my own excuses, it's like the excuses make you feel like you're doing something, keeps you busy. The excuses keep you busy. but they also keep you stuck. So that was a huge wake up call for me, right? It's like, how many times am I going to continue to make the excuses? How many times am I going to now? And this doesn't mean that things don't come up and you have to rearrange things and you have to adjust things. Greetings, Lana. But it's one of those things where you can still be adaptable. And this is how you start to come out of the limiting belief. You have to stop looking at what you can't do and start looking at how you can make things work based off of where you're at. Because these limiting beliefs, another way it shows up in your life, it's always like it's always about the future. Like, oh, well, I have to do this and it has to be a year from now or 6 months from now I can do that, or oh, I'll have the time. You'll have the time in the future. That's another way limiting belief shows up. You have the time in the future. Maybe you'll have the time in the future. You hope to have the time in the future. But until you start to create the space for it now and start looking at, well, what can I do now in order to prepare for that, for the future? That's a different mindset, right? Now you're looking at the opportunity. Now you're looking at, well, what can I do now to better prepare myself for the things that I'm wanting? You might not have the time to fully commit to something in the way that you want to. But I promise you, there's something that you can start doing now in order to prepare you. You have to start to create the space in the present time in order for you to create a new pathway. Align yourself. You know what? And one of the things that, like an example I think of is when I was working in a gym. So you may or may not know, part of my background is health and fitness, and I am a personal trainer. It's one of many things that I do. And one of the things that I noticed a lot when it came to fitness and health, it's like, oh, when it's, in the summertime, I'm going to do this cleanse, and, oh, and after the holidays, I'm going to like do this, and oh, I'm going to wait till after this, and oh, when I do this, it's like, or oh, once I start, once I finish this thing, it's always like, once you finish this, then you'll start to prioritize your health. Once you finish this, then you want to start working out. Or once you finish this, then you want to start to do something more, right? Start to seek actively pursue the results that you're seeking in your fitness or health journey. And again, like, that's not going to get you anywhere. Once I finish this. So it's like, no, what can you start doing now? How can you start to create space for it now? This doesn't mean that other things aren't in the way of you adding it into your schedule more consistently, but there's things that you can start doing now. Whether it's health or fitness, whether it's, your entrepreneurial journey, whether it's your spiritual journey, whether it's how you want to show up in your life, right? And you'll notice I keep bringing up those 4 main categories because that tends to be the 4 areas that I see it being a thing. And primarily the people that I work with, usually it's an area with health and fitness related, spiritual related, business related, or like life journey related, right? Like showing up in the world in a different way, like wanting to show up as your authentic self. And a lot of that has to do with like what you're being called to do. So those are the 4 areas that it tends to come across. So let me know which one resonates with you in the comments if it tends to be health and fitness related, if it's like spiritual journey, if it's like showing up as your authentic self, is it career, is it a combination? Let me know where you tend to see this. But if you keep saying, well, once I finish this, it's like, how many times are you going to say that before it's a new year? Before, like, it's a year from now. And here's the thing, like, there's always going to be things in the way. And that's why it's important for you to start to create space now. Even if it's 5 minutes of space. So letting go of that all or nothing mentality of, oh, well, the only way I can do it right is if it has to be 1 hour's worth of time. If I can't commit to 1 hour every, 6 days a week, then it's wrong. And I just might as well not even start. No. If I can't quit my job and make $100,000 off the bat in my new business, then it's wrong and I can't. It's like, like, I think we need to we need to reframe them expectations just a little bit, right? Like, it sounds nice, but that's not how it works. And one of the things in our technological society, and with social media, is we tend to see people with their like before and after, and it can seem so instant. It can seem like instant success. It can seem like they're getting the body that they want instantly. It can seem like they are transforming their careers. They leave their 9 to 5 and they become full-time entrepreneurs making 6 figures, or it seems like they have like fully realized who they are as their authentic self, and they're just like living their best life. Like, they have fully found that. And those are just what they call like the highlights. You're not seeing the process, and the power is in the process. The power is in the process. The power is in the process, not the end result, not the wanting to do it, not the, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna do this later. I'm gonna do this later. No, it's in what are the steps that you're taking to get from what you actually want to where you want to be. You can't just jump. You can't just like catapult over there. There's steps in between. You can't like teleport to the end of it. There's actually work you have to do. And I kind of talked about this a little bit. I believe it was last week or maybe the week before. When it comes to like abundance and manifestation and what you want to manifest in your life, and how the universe responds to you. The universe isn't responding to what you're saying. The universe isn't responding to your words. The universe is responding to the energy behind the words, the feelings, right? And so when it comes to those limiting beliefs, your mind, so I mentioned there's a link between your mindset and the emotions when it comes to the limiting beliefs. You believe you can't, so how do those beliefs show up in your emotions? Sometimes believing that you can't, if you believe that to be true, whether you realize it or not, it's going to show up in not feeling worthy enough, or it's going to show up in feeling like you don't know enough. It's going to show up in not feeling ready. And so when you get to that point of, if you only get caught up in why you can't get to that future result that you're seeking, then where does that keep you away from? It keeps you away from being in the present state and looking at what you can do now. My problem is that I have time just choosing to do it later. not okay when when you're trying to unbury myself. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you have the choice too. It's the power of choice. You can choose to create the space. You can choose to find the time. And here's the other thing, like you might have the intention, like, oh, okay, I want to do this today. I want to get this done today. And then if it doesn't happen today, you're like, oh, well, I failed. So now you're just like, whatever. And then you just don't do it. And it could be little things. Like for the past, like 2 weeks, I have been wanting to make just a doctor's appointment and for an eye exam. It's time for me to get new glasses, right? So for 2 weeks, this has been on my schedule, and I just other things keep getting in the way. Other things keep getting in the way. Today, I finally did it. I was like, okay, I am doing this. I'm not going to keep creating excuses of why I'm not finding the time for it. I need to do this. I need to prioritize my health, right? I need to do this for me. Let me tell you how the universe works. How about I called them and there was an appointment available tomorrow? Your girl is going to the eye doctor tomorrow. Okay, that never happens. Usually it's like a 2-month wait. Okay. Okay. I'm just saying it was the energy for me. It's the energy. Okay. I'm just saying my energy was different because I was like, I am doing this today. I didn't give up. I didn't give up. I didn't feel bad about like, oh, I just, no, I continued to put it on my schedule. I continued, right? The process, even if it feels like you're failing, even if it feels like you're not making progress, it's the process that you're wanting, right? I still, if I didn't, so one of the things that I do every morning and every evening, I have a planner. I'm looking at what are the things on my planner? What are the things that I'm wanting to do? What are the goals that I'm setting for the week, right? So this doesn't even start with, so you have the things that you want to accomplish, right? You want to see results within a certain time frame in the future. How you start to bring that into the present, into the now. What are you doing today? What are you doing this week that's going to move you closer to those things? How are you starting to create space for those things? You want to meditate more, you want to be more spiritual. What are you doing? And when are you finding the time? How are you even looking at your schedule? Are you looking at what you're doing with your time right now? Because if you're not, then that's a good place to start. Start looking at what you're doing with your time right now. Like, what are you doing all day? You know how people ask you like, oh, how was your day? What have you been up to? It's like, oh, I went to work and, kids and, errands. And what really it's about, like, yeah, you went to work, yeah, kids, and then it was like, 3 hours on Netflix, and then like 2 hours scrolling on Instagram, and then like 5 hours on TikTok, and then you kind of rush to do some errands that you kind of forgot. I mean, like, what are you doing with your time? Where does it go? Where does the time go? You have to start looking at the time and what you're doing with your day and being more intentional about it. And then you can start questioning, like, are the things that I'm doing moving me closer to what I'm actually wanting? And guess what? It ain't easy to look and evaluate yourself. It's so much easier to be the victim of your circumstance and be like, oh, well, oh, I'm just so tired. Oh, I just don't have the time. What are you going to do to not be tired? What are you going to do to start finding the time? It also goes to, you don't have to find time every single day of the week. You can find time maybe once or twice a week, or maybe it's once or twice a month. So it kind of goes back to expectations of, well, oh, it's wrong if I'm not able to do it for an hour, 6 days a week. It's like, no. What if you commit to 10 minutes twice a week, 1 hour a week versus every day? And it might feel like it's not enough, but I encourage you and I challenge you to to change your perception around not enough and look at, well, it's better than doing nothing. It's better than the nothing I've been doing. It's better than the excuses that I've been making. It's better than the, oh, I don't have the time. It's better than the nothing. It's better than the not doing, because it's better that it's doing something, right? Think of those, think of the 10 minutes like $10, a $10 investment. Every minute is $1, right? And you're investing that into that goal that you're wanting to accomplish. And that, even that alone, it's like, okay, this is an investment in myself. This is an investment in my future. This is an investment in who I want to become, right? This is an investment in my spiritual journey, an investment in my fitness and health, an investment in the business that I want to create, whatever it is. You can start to look at it like that, like, okay, 10 minutes, $10, that's better than nothing. Would you rather have the nothing or the $10? The nothing or the 10 minutes, right? Because that's a compound effect. It will build up over time. And that is what I have personally found to be a very practical way to start to work through those limiting beliefs, by looking at what you're doing in the present. Because limiting beliefs keep you stuck in the future, or what you're trying to do in the future, but you're just avoiding what's in the now. And like I mentioned before, it'll keep you busy, but it'll also keep you stuck. I know that's right. It's a combination of business and health and fitness. Yeah, and sometimes, these can show up in a combination of different things. And then you can start looking at, and I often talk about, there's a mirror effect. If it's showing up in a couple places, there's always going to be one place, and it reflects in another place in your life. I keep trying. I never quit. Okay. You pay inside my head, a space is brutal judgments on me. And that's the thing, when it comes to being in your own head, and the judgments that you're talking about here, like the self-judgment. And that's what I was talking about. There's this link between the mind and the emotions when it comes to these limiting beliefs of, you believe it to be true, and then you find the feelings. There's a feeling that's going to support that belief. That's going to support that that thought. But in the same way that what you believe to be true, which is that you can't, or you don't have the time, or you won't have the time, or you don't know the thing, you can also start to question, well, okay, I don't have the time yet, or I don't have the time right now, but I will make time for this later today. Maybe you don't have the time right now, but you can make time for it later today. Or I don't have the time right now, but I'm going to put this in my schedule for later this week. Something to think about. Intention, not just action. Absolutely. You need both intention and action. And you need more of the action, right? Let your actions fuel your intention. Because a lot of times you say, oh, well, I intended to do that. You intended in your mind to do it, but then where's the action? If you bring both of those together simultaneously, take the action and be intentional about the action. Lead with the action. And let in that action be intentional about what you're doing within that action. Because it's so easy to say, oh, well, oh, I really wanted to. Oh, my intentions were good. Really wanted to do that. Oh, I really wanted to do that. But let's change that to, like, what action can I take right now? And let me be intentional about what I'm doing in this moment, in the midst of this action. That's what's going to get you moving forward. It's going to start getting you unstuck, getting you out of the busyness and into creating traction, into being more productive, into a process. Because you have to start taking the action. The action is the process, right? And then as you continue the actions, that's building, building, investing that time, investing those actions, right, into your personal growth journey, your business endeavors, whatever it is that you're wanting to do. So that is the message, y'all. I'm getting ready to go into the tarot card for the week. Let's go into that. I'm going to pull a card for the collective message. And oh, we got two jumpers, y'all. Ooh, come on now. The collective message. We got two cards here. We have Death and the Wheel of Fortune. We have Death and the Wheel of Fortune. Come on now. And what have I been talking about today? Limiting beliefs and how they show up in your life. Don't get freaked out by this death card, okay? Death is necessary. Death is an opportunity. Death is a transition. Death is an end and also a beginning. Death is about shedding and letting certain things go. When you start to transition out of those limiting beliefs, those things that are keeping you stuck, I want you to keep in your mind right now. If you want to share in the comments, feel free to do so. Where you feel the most stuck right now, what is the limiting belief that is, and you can write this down in your journal. What is the limiting belief that is keeping you stuck right now? What is it? Because that's where this death card is coming in. It is time to transition out of that. It is time to bury that. It is time to shed that. Because once you do that, do you see how the death card is moving towards the Wheel of Fortune? Okay. The death card is moving towards the Wheel of Fortune, which means when you start to shed those limiting beliefs, when you start to shed and transition out of that, right? Now you are opening yourself up to more options, to more opportunity, to a new chapter. You're crossing that threshold from death to life, a rebirth. And that life could be that new mindset, that new state of mind, right? It could be those actions that I talked about, right? Instead of staying in the stuckness, you start taking the action. Because think about a wheel. What does a wheel need in order to move? What keeps a wheel in motion? Are you turning your wheel or you're just looking at it? Looking at it, talk about how you don't got enough time. So it is time to change the energy behind your actions or lack thereof. You're not taking enough action. What are you willing to shed in order to gain what you desire? What are you willing to do? Are you willing to shed that whole aspect of yourself? Are you willing to transition out of your limiting beliefs? Are you willing? Are you ready to consider that the things that you want in your life are possible for you? Are you willing to just consider that it could be possible for you at some point in your life? It might feel impossible right now, but are you willing to entertain that it could be possible for you? Because it's one thing to have the desire. You can want something all day, but do you believe it's possible? You can believe it's possible, but do you believe it's possible for you? Do you believe it's possible for you in this lifetime? Or are you like, oh, well, maybe next lifetime? Like, let's again shift our expectations. And this collective message is calling you to let go, to shed, to release, so you can move forward, right? You have to move to it. You have to decide that you are ready to do what it takes to start even considering that what you want is possible for you. That in itself can feel like the greatest challenge of all. And maybe you need support around that. That's something for you to decide. But if you, whatever you believe to be true will be. And until what you believe to be true aligns with the weight of what you believe is possible, then you're going to stay in that limiting belief, right? I kind of see it as a scale. What you believe to be true, what's possible, right? So like, here we go, like what you believe to be true, because what you believe to be true might be a limiting belief. You can believe that you don't have enough time to do this, or you're not capable of doing this. But what is possible, right? This Wheel of Fortune is about the possibility. If you believe that it's possible for you at some point in this lifetime, the more you start to deposit actions and processes into this, then that's when you will start to see a change. That is what this message is about today. So take that, let that marinate, and let me know how that collective message resonates with you. And I want you to journal if you got one, or you can share in the comments if you want to, right? I really want you to tune into that question, because this isn't about, this question is for you. And the more you sit with it, you know, you can go back, come back to it, reflect on it, continue to revisit it. What do you believe is true? And what do you believe is possible for you in this lifetime? Because I'm telling you, you will start to see some conflicting information when it comes to those things. And then you will start to see where the misalignment is. You will start to see that. So that is it for today. That is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this message. If you enjoyed this, be sure to give this video a like and share this video with a friend that you feel might need this message today. And if you want to connect with me, you can do so by subscribing to my YouTube channel at Ujo Wajet. I'm also on all social media platforms, primarily on YouTube, Twitter, Clubhouse, and Instagram. You can connect with me there. And other than that, I hope you all will tune in next week, which is we're starting a new month. So it's going to be February, and I'm excited about that. So stay tuned. I will see you all on the next one.